So, what if the way we think about getting older is just all wrong? Today, we're diving into a fitness program called Old School New Body, and it challenges decades of modern health wisdom with some pretty controversial and honestly fascinating ideas. Let's dig in and see what this is all about.
Right out of the gate, the program hits you with this really startling idea. It suggests that after you hit the big 40, your biological clock doesn't just tick anymore, it starts to sprint. And they don't just leave it at that. They actually put a number on it. Get this. They claim that for every single year that passes after your 40th birthday, your body gets hit with an extra 6 months of aging. According to them, this isn't just a feeling, it's what's actually happening biologically. But it's the cumulative effect where things get really, kind of alarming. If you do the math on their theory, that extra time really adds up. So that 20-year span between 40 and 60 actually puts 30 years of wear and tear on your body. The result? You look and feel a whole decade older than you actually are. Okay, so what's really driving this alarming math? Let's break down the central problem that the authors are presenting here, this whole idea of accelerated aging. Well, according to them, one of the biggest culprits here is something that's happening silently: muscle loss. They claim that a staggering 90% of people over 35 are losing enough muscle every single year to burn off an extra 4 pounds of body fat. That's a huge part of your body's metabolic engine just powering down. And this is why that matters so much. It's not just about how you look. When you lose that muscle tissue, which is the very thing that gives your body its shape and tone, it directly leads to gaining more fat. And the craziest part? This can happen even if you haven't changed your diet one bit. So this all begs the big question, right? Is this rapid decline just inevitable? Is this something we just have to accept as a fact of life? And their answer is a big, bold no. They argue this whole process of accelerated aging can be stopped in its tracks and even reversed, no matter how old you are right now. The program claims that there are specific ways of moving, eating, and even thinking that can basically signal your body to hit the brakes. But here's where it gets interesting. Before they even get to their solution, they kind of take aim at what they see as the real problem: modern fitness itself. Yeah, they don't pull any punches. They come right out and say it with this blunt statement, and it really sets the stage for their whole argument that a lot of today's popular fitness trends are just fundamentally misguided when it comes to fighting aging. And you might be surprised by what's on their hit list. The source claims that really popular activities like core training, yoga, spin classes, and even Tai Chi, well, they might be fine for other things, but they are totally ineffective for actually slowing aging, shaping muscle, or burning that stubborn body fat. Okay, so if all that popular stuff doesn't work, what does? Well, the book proposes a solution that's rooted in what it calls an old school philosophy. It's basically suggesting the answers we need have been around for a while. Their system isn't framed as some brand new invention, but more like a collection of timeless principles. They claim it's secret knowledge gathered from insiders, from people who've seemingly cracked the code on how to defy the aging process. And they boil this whole philosophy down into 5 key principles. They argue that you have to apply all 5 of them to age backwards by, as they say, restoring your body's natural youth hormones. For this explainer, we're going to zero in on the very first one. And this first principle, it goes right after a huge piece of health advice that, honestly, most of us grew up with and have heard for decades. Their advice is simple and maybe a little shocking. Forget low-fat diets. They argue that the whole craze for low-fat everything that's dominated for so long has actually been a disaster. In their words, it's made us all fatter, sicker, and more addicted to sugar. And they really paint 2 completely different pictures here. On one side, they say low-fat diets lead to feeling weak and constantly worrying about food. But on the other, they argue that embracing the right kinds of fats helps regenerate your body's power hormones and lets you actually enjoy what you eat again. And then they go even further, taking on probably one of the biggest dietary villains of the last half-century. They argue that dietary fat and cholesterol aren't dirty words at all. In fact, they say these are the essential building blocks your body needs to produce vital hormones, like testosterone. So when you boil it all down, what this material is really doing is throwing down a gauntlet. It's a direct challenge to what many of us believe about health, about fitness, and about aging. It's really designed to make you question what you've been told. So we've just walked through the core argument of old school new body. Now, whether you buy into it or not, it definitely makes you think. And it leaves us with this one big question to chew on. In a world where health advice is always changing, what piece of conventional wisdom that you believe might be worth questioning?